everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unsubscribe, the Demand Drive podcast. I am your co-host, AJ Alonso, joined by my other co-host, Alex Ellison. He's here every single time we do one of these bad boys. How are you, Alex? Geez, I can't talk today, man. Wow.
I think you had it right.
Help me out.
How am I? I'm doing well. I did notice right when we got on, I have a little calic that won't go away. So that's going to bother me all recording, but small potatoes.
Yeah, but no big deal. Like you said, it'll just bother you the entire time.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm excited to record today, Alex. We've got a great guest with us, Lori Dunn. She is the COO over at Optimus Technologies, someone that I've been connected with for a while, somebody that I've looked up to for a while, someone I'm really excited to have on the show talking with us today, very broadly about mentorship and then her kind of specific niche in that area. But Lori, excited to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. I love that we're all immediately going in and talking crap about how we look. This is obviously a great start to the podcast. AJ can't talk. Alex has a calic. This is all so good. I'm here for it.
We really just immediately bust down that any kind of barrier of high levels of production and or polish. No, we're just three people talking to each other today. And that's
all we're
here
doing.
for it.
Videos right back at us reminding us that this is what we look like today. So let's deal with it.
Oh man, I'm excited, Lori, to have you on because today we're going to be talking about something that you're really passionate about, something that I know a little bit about, but would like to learn more about. I think, Alex, you're kind of the same way. You have the same mindset around this idea of mentorship, and specifically in your area, uplifting some untapped and overlooked voices within the sales community. Very noble, very a solid pursuit by you to sort of help individuals who maybe don't have the resources to help themselves or don't really know what direction to take their careers. It's a prevalent problem, I would say, and something that definitely needs to be addressed. So I'm glad that you're doing it, and I'm excited to learn from you about how you're doing it and some of the ways in which you're able to uplift some of these voices. So I just wanted to start with a definition because I think when people talk about mentorship, there's a bunch of different ways that can kind of go. I know a lot of individuals look at mentors as coaches. A lot of individuals look at mentors as just on the life side of things, not necessarily on the professional side. So to you and your definition, like what is mentorship? What is a mentor? What are your goals as a mentor?
Are y'all still there? You completely froze and cut out for me if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Now we can.
Okay, great.
Great.
Right, when you said, what is it to you? You both paused. Right.
Oh, good stuff.
That's all right. Mentorship versus coaching, two different things. Two definitely different things. You can hire a coach that is skilled at a certain thing. That coach could help unblock you from a negative thought. That could be a sales coach that could teach you better outreach strategies. That could be a finance coach, right? To help you with your personal finances. Or if you're in the company, this could be like a fractional CFO kind of thing like that. Coaches are different. A mentor is someone who's really with you on a journey of growth. And it could be for a time. I do find a lot of the mentorship work that I have done, that I've received and that I give, it comes to a natural close. There's a certain point where we started with this one objective, we've kind of come through it, and we're now at this next phase that maybe if I'm the mentor, I might not be the right person to help you get there. I'll cheerlead you because I love helping people and watching people succeed. Best part is helping them succeed. I'll listen to the struggle, but oh man, we all love to party. So we can get to that phase, or if you're in a more formalized process, there might be, in 6 weeks, it's done. And that's the time. And then you kind of decide, are we going to continue on or not? It's really as long as there's mutual value that you tap in and add value there.
So
That's great.
Go ahead.
No, please, Alex.
So I was going to dive more into this concept of that mutual value, right? Because a lot of times, especially if you're thinking about it similar to coaching, it's the coach helps the coachee, student, whatever you want to call them, right? The mentor helps the mentee. So yeah, I'd love for you to, if you have some examples or dive into a little bit about what a mentor should be getting out of this mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah. Altruism's real, right? That it feels so nice. So that's the initial feedback that you get. For me, I find many of the people that I mentor, they try to open doors for me, sometimes wildly unsuccessful. They'll be like, have you heard of this? I'm like, you mean the very large global company that everyone knows the name of in my space? Yeah, I've heard of them. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And it's truly like, it's not a rude thing. It's just like, no, thank you so much. That's sweet. But yeah, I know about them. And other times I'm finding, as we're talking and they want to know, but what are you actually doing today? Because we get to a point where, yes, they want to tell me what's happening. Sometimes it can even feel like a little bit of a therapy dump for a minute. They just have to get it out. They say, but what are you working on? What are you excited about? And then they hear, and then they find a friend of a friend and they make a connection. And whether that's someone to build out my network, which, as we know, the wider that network is, the better that reach on either your content that you're producing, the product you're selling, or the way that you're building and growing. I've met a lot of people that would come in as a coach to help me on certain things because a mentor had connected me to someone who is adept at that skill, which is great. So they're expanding my horizons. They're also helping me get more concise and understand, like, what's the root of that problem? It's very Chris Voss labeling of whatever someone's saying, like really tap in, like, what are they actually telling you? And pulling that piece out and being able to hone that in a safer way there makes me a better seller on calls. It makes me a better leader when I'm talking to people that I directly manage. And that relationship, obviously a director manager, like that relationship is wildly different than a mentor mentee. And so you kind of get to like practice a few things with the mentees in kind of a low stakes way, because luckily people have told me, they're like, oh my God, it's so valuable, right? If I get to the end of a 6 week, they're like, can we keep talking? I'm like, sure, I'm happy to keep talking. Like, do you want to do the same cadence? How do we navigate this? And ideally for me, I think my ego loves it. My ego doesn't need a lot of things. I'm really lucky in that. Like, I don't need the big accolades and a lot of that. When they come, it's lovely, but I don't need that. When someone tells me this was really helpful, oh man, my cup overfloweth. I love a word of affirmation, and I love knowing that my time was well spent.
That's funny. I feel like we've talked about this a little bit in terms of sort of like the motivational styles that a lot of top sellers kind of respond to. Mostly sort of that intrinsic level of like, I want to be the best because I like being the best, less so about, contrary to popular belief, less so about just earning the most money or getting sort of the most like external recognition. But there's also that like small subset of individuals that are very altruistically motivated. I think when I was reading about this, it was like anywhere from like 2 to 5% maybe of top performers are really motivated by helping other people. And I think that, to your point, like those individuals that are super motivated by helping another person end up becoming mentors, just not by like default, but it's like a pathway that they kind of find themselves going down when they're like, oh, I've helped 3 out of the past 4 new hires that we've had kind of ramp up and really understand what it's like to be an SDR or how to get their CRM set up or like whatever they might be doing. It's like, and I just feel good about that. Like, how can I do that more often? And they just like lend themselves into that mentorship path, which I think is really cool.
And that's where you see a lot of success in people in sales enablement, in a customer success, in sales leadership, also as sellers in particular. But it's that skill set that you tapped in on of like, I'm intrinsically motivated by this. And as you're doing that mentoring, you are truly building that skill set. You are getting that growth in a way that maybe a first-time leader, if they hadn't been motivated by that, if they hadn't been helping as many people, they have a lot of learning to catch up with. Whereas once you get used to being pulled in a few different ways, right? Because I have a job to do, but then someone wants my help, and my little heart just like, okay, I'll go help you. I'll drop everything. I'll deal with it later. I've gotten used to how many times to say yes, how many times to say no, and having my little octopus tentacles out there, and handling that and understanding how to remain in my core. Whereas that learning curve, it can be really rough for some people that aren't as skilled in that. So that's where, and again, sales enablement, the ultimate helpers.
Yeah.
Right. We have them, the customer success folks. They now know how to manage a full book of business and multiple players in each account very well, because that is a very unique skill set they have.
Yeah, and I think that the sort of idea of setting your own boundaries, right? When you're somebody that likes to help people, it's very hard to say no. You want to help as many people as want your help, essentially, right? But
Yeah.
the
You're
more
almost
you,
like, every time you say no, you're like, oh, I
yeah,
can't believe I just did that.
Did I just say yes to that? No.
Yeah, either way, yes or no, right? Yes, because you're like,
right.
I know I can't do it. No, it's like, I feel so bad. I want to help.
Right, but yeah, so setting those boundaries is obviously very tough for someone in your position or any of those positions you really talked about. So, using that to segue into, I'd love to learn about how you make those decisions, right? Like, how do you decide who you are going to mentor? What kinds of people do you prefer to mentor, and where do you sort of draw those lines in a more practical or tactical application?
How do I choose? Just chaotically. Truly, it's not, I need to develop a process. I definitely do. And I've had to ask the people that I do mentor right now, I've had to cut what used to be longer calls down to 30 minutes every other week, things like that, where I'm running out of bandwidth to be able to do this effectively and do my job effectively. Because I don't know if you heard, but I have a job. So I have to do that as well. So yes, that is something I could actually use a coach on that, of helping me identify bandwidth and understanding. My God bless my therapist, my girl Donna. She tries, but no, that's a different relationship we have. I'm going to need a coach outside of that to help me here.
Yeah.
So that the people that I like, they are typically drawn to me. I'm very grateful that they are drawn to me in some way. I'm in, some energy groups, and they do a call for mentors. You just kind of put your name out there and see who comes your way. There's a gal right now that I mentor that I met at a conference, and she happened to join and I happened to join, and she self-selected me, and we hopped on the call, and I was like, we know each other. And she was like, yeah, is it okay that I selected you? I was like, of course. And she was like, just after that lunch, I just really enjoyed what you said. So when I saw your name, I had to click it. I was like, well, that's sweet. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll be here for you. Yeah. A few other places, like, because it's that servitude kind of aspect that drives me. When I find out SDR training program is looking for people to come in and I do a wider overview roles in tech, right? I'm in climate tech. I'm not fully in SaaS B2B space. So I do walk that line where I come and I learn, and I spend a lot of time with folks here, but I am on the climate side of life. So general overviews of what you can see is something I'm great with. You're not going to see me dive in on like, here's how to crush an inbound sequence and outbound this, because we're talking different things.
Right.
There's a lot of learning to be had there, but I shouldn't be that person. So in that wider overview, I get access to, 20 students a month, and a couple of them usually ask for either a one-off time or a quick, message. It's like, hey, can you show me that thing again? And I send a quick, video message back and show them. And one or two undoubtedly ask me for more reoccurring time, because this is it's a difficult moment when you're searching, when you're transitioning roles. And I'm good at transitioning. A lot of people look at me and they look at their resume and they're like, how did you get there? Like, in my mind, it's a linear path.
Yeah.
But I have had to answer in interviews more times than I can count. What happened? Actually, it was just Halloween. We're sitting on the porch with my friends after, passing everything out, and all the cool kids were out after that. I call myself a cool kid. And we were talking with their neighbors who were younger, college age, and they came across the street, and I realized the group of us, I was like, oh, we're kind of cool. Like, they were asking us what we all did for work and all the difference. And they were kind of shocked. Like, it was like, oh, are we impressive now? Because I still feel like 15-year-old me, but they were kind of impressed. And they were like, so how did you get there? Like, you're COO of a climate tech company. I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like, well, what's your undergrad degree? I was like, theatrical, scenic, and makeup design. They're like, what? And I was like, you should hear what happened in between. Makeup to trucks, I don't even know. And there's a lot that happened in the middle. But that was very valuable as a mentor for someone who's very scared and they're applying for a SaaS B2B role. They're seeing, I don't have the experience and I don't have this. And I'm like, my queen, you have done so much in your career. You're a parent to 3 wonderful, thriving children. You have XYZ experience. You know how to manage a calendar. You know how to manage emotions. You know how to, on top of all the other work. And they're like, really? And I'm like, makeup to trucks.
Yeah.
At minimum, that jump is big, let alone all the work I did along the way. So this is also where coaching and mentorship is different. A coach might help unblock you, get through in that way. I can just be like, stop, like, you're awesome, and just get right to it and focus on a lot of more the uplifting yourself way. Whereas you might get a coach like physical trainer, right? They might like push through the pain and all that. That's not how I talk to people. I'm much more celebratory, positive uplift. And when you tell me something that you did that was bad, I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah, that's bad. What did we learn? Okay, so we're not going to do that again, right? And I can focus there, and then I can bring out some of my own failures and how I've used that to strengthen myself in a way that I don't believe a coach does in the same way. Maybe they do, and I'm misrepresenting coaches. I don't know.
I remember when we first, during sort of like the prep for all of this, and we were talking, something that you mentioned that you just reminded me of was that the style, the approach that you take to mentorship is 10% skill-based, 10% knowing what someone needs, and then 80% asking somebody, why don't you believe in yourself? And I think the example you just gave really encapsulates that, of like your sort of position as a mentor is really acting as that, like, lead with positivity, understand what you did wrong, how you can learn from it, be that cheerleader for somebody so that they pull yourself up at the bootstraps is not the right phrase for it, but it's like they understand that they can do it. They just need someone to believe in them and give them sort of that catalyst to be able to land an SDR job or get that promotion or whatever their next step might be.
There are enough people out there, whether that is hiring managers, other mentors, other coaches, other people, societal expectations, anything. There's enough people out there that might focus on, nope, you don't have the skill set. This isn't a good idea. You need to go back to this step. You need to move. I haven't found that to be true for my career. I have not found that the advice that is the safe lane that says keep going this route has actually led me to where I am today. I find that I've actually done the opposite of the safe route, and that has helped me excel. Now, I'm also like little goody two shoes, like didn't drink till I was legal, didn't do it. Like I'm very... So I don't want everyone to think I'm this like rebel running around, but crazy LD. I like to say I don't have a drinking or gambling problem. I have a startup problem. That's a little risky. Yeah. And I just take stabs. I take a bet on myself. And that's the confidence, the knowing that I can and will do it has driven me through. Now I have moments, and I talk to my mentors sometimes, and I get those moments of doubt. I'm like, here we go. Here's that moment. You always ask me, is it going to come? Guess what? It's here. I need support. And they're like, okay. And sometimes my mentors, some of them kind of like knock me down a little bit. And then I learn that's not a mentor to go through when I'm having a doubt moment because I don't like safe. I find a lot of times people who care about you, who love you the most, many times family and stuff, if you want to talk entrepreneurship or anything, they're usually the ones who are more fearful for you and want you to go to like, just get a nice, good job with a good salary and and we're like, I want to be out here negotiating equity and talking in different ways and taking a bet on myself and seeing what I can achieve. So I seek out mentors who do that for me. And it's more boundless opportunity as opposed to keeping me small. For good reason. That is a very good reason. But I'm not looking for a small life. I'm looking for that growth, and I like to be that for others.
Yeah. So would you say tactically then, when somebody does come to you and they're looking for that mentor, do you think do you tell them that they should go through sort of that similar process of like, look, having just one mentor might not be the best scenario for you. There's probably different avenues you want to take your career, and I might be good for helping with the cheerleading side of things and really giving you the inspiration and being that catalyst to get you to the next step. But like maybe tactically there's a different mentor that you can look at that can help build skills. Like you said, you're in climate tech, not SaaS. If this is an individual who really needs help with like the building an inbound cadence, like telling someone, you should have multiple of me to help you guide your path.
Yeah. I'm very clear that I have multiples, so please continue to seek that out for yourself and find the vibe that works for you. right? You got to find like, what do you need right now in this moment? And I was like, and it's okay if I don't fulfill that need. We could do a check-in in 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
but what we're not going to do is waste either of our time on something that's not as effective. So everything's about clarity. Get as clear as you can. You're clear with your customers. You're clear with internally with your team, right? If you're looking to become a leader in your team, you got to be very clear. And you tell them, this is what I'm looking to do. What are you noticing? What are the XYZ things I need to do within the next 6 months to talk about that promotion, that whatever that is? That's clarity. And you want to get clear about your personal goals too. It's something with my team when I sit down that I personally lead. Like, what are your goals? Write them down. I learned from an amazing leader how to do this. And she said, write down your goals. Give me 6, 12, 18. You can give me up to 5 years. You can give me 10 years. And feel free to be as wide ranging or as narrow as you like. You can give me financials. You can give me personal. You can do any of that. And I was on a team of 3 at the time. And I had asked her, she ended up turning into a mentor. And now we're like peer mentors to each other now. It's great. Yeah, it's so fun. And also I love her babies. Her babies call me auntie. And I feel like that I like hit the level where like my mentor's kids call me auntie. I'm like, oh, I've done it. I've infected this family. I'm good. Like, but I asked her later on, I was like, hey, when you did that, like however long ago that was, I was like, what happened with us? And she was like, well, the 3 of you are very different. The first one was very unclear and just said, I'm going to hit 7 figures on commission. And she was like, his very first sales role, he thought in the first year he'd hit 7 figures.
Ambition.
So it was like, oh, and that was his only thing. That was it. Great. The next person said, I have X amount of years until I have this personal life milestone birthday, and I want to achieve X, right? I'd like to be able to do X with my family. This is what I'd like. She was like, and you showed up with an Excel sheet. Yes. She's like, you had personal, family, ego, etc. Like I wrote roles for my ego, and she was like, what's that? And I was like, well, I would like to do speaking engagements, and I feel like that's because my ego needs it. And she was like, okay.
It's like a whole separate person that you're
yeah, it's like other Lori,
Yeah.
LB's here talking to you today. Other Lori would be on a stage. She's different. She has different goals. And I wrote family planning, this, that, and I put financial guidelines I did every 6 months up to like 10 years. I was like, these will be achievable. And she's like, what that helped me do was when new leads came in, the person who was focused more on money, I could talk about potential opportunity size and see how many I could filter. When I was talking to this other person of a life, when 401k hit and stuff, I say, hey, let's see how much we can put in here and focus on that goal. So like, and with you, when there's an opportunity to speak at a conference or something, I could put you there because one of yours, you wanted to talk about this other side of life. I could put you in front of different people. She said, I was able to do more with you because you got extra clear. And that's when I joined my team. I like bringing, my little notebook. That's my secret notebook. It has all the secrets in it. It's like, hit me, take them out of the office. This doesn't have to be in an office around people thing. As much as you're comfortable, let me know. And the same thing, frankly, happened to me. Some people told me a little, some told me a lot. And it's like, great. But now I know what excites these people? Because if I need you to hit goal ABC, because frankly, it's in your job description, this is the goal. But I do know that J is really important to you. We're a startup. We're all Swiss Army knives. Guess what, buddy? You're going to do J. And I guarantee you, by doing J, you're going to be way more excited to fulfill your duties to me and the company. So it's playing that. And I do that when I mentor people. And I tell them this story I just told you and guide through. I'm like, so get clear. Talk to your boss about that. Talk to me about it. Because now as a mentor I thrive on large community, like, let me connect you to people in my network you need to talk to. And then ask them, who should they connect to? And start building it out. The clarity will always serve you well. That's how I went from makeup to trucks, right? I knew a path. I didn't know it would be trucks, but I knew a path to a general area where I am.
Mm-hmm. Do you, so you tell this story to people you mentor, do you find that they come with, with clearer, like more defined things as opposed to like some of those broad ones you get? Yeah.
Yeah. And also because sometimes I pull up the LinkedIn of the other two and I show people, like, look where they are, look where I am. Look what clarity got me. And it's like, what drives you? Some people are driven by titles, some are driven, you just want a nice, sweet house in the middle of Kansas. I don't know where Kansas came from. I'm going there in 2 weeks. That's why. Okay. I
It's
was like,
very, very middle of the country too. So as middle
right?
as you can get.
You just want like a nice big house in the middle of the country, and you want to have a very happy life that the movies always told us we would have. If you work hard, do good, you'll be that. Some people really want that, and they deeply want that. It's not just because they were told to. That's great. Other people are saying, I'm going to sacrifice everything for 15 years because I'm going to do the FIRE method of like the money modeling, right? Where you live very minimally so you can retire early. They would do that. And they'd focus on that. I'm like, that's great. That's great. I'm not good with the financials personally. So let me connect you with some of my friends.
Yeah.
We need help on this path and understanding I have to give up access to hanging out with my friends as much. I have to realize people have different goals and how to navigate through that. Oh, I can help you with that. That really sticky, murky feeling. Yeah, but it's not fun. I don't like that feeling, but I know how to navigate that so we can play there.
Yeah. The big thing that I kind of pulled out of the story that you told and sort of like how you approach your style of mentorship is that it has to be a two-way street. I think a lot of people very early on in their career, when you hear it all the time, individuals coming into the workforce now crave mentorship and the ability to grow fast more than anything. But there's also this notion that like you can just find the right mentor and then poof, like you're off, like you can just start excelling. But there's a two-way street associated with it where like, yes, you as a mentor can be that catalyst. You can help put them in the right situation. You can connect them to the right people. But the mentee has to come to the table with an Excel sheet of very clear expectations of like, this is where I want to be, and this is why I'm hoping you can help me get there. So I know that's one thing. Are there other things that mentees can do to sort of meet you halfway and really help get the most out of the relationship with their mentor?
Make it easy for us to schedule time. That's right. The easier it is to get access, the easier there. Similar, if we're talking revenue side of the world, salespeople, like everything that you would do with a prospect. You find out how they like to communicate. Do they want to text you? Do they want to Slack you? Do they want to LinkedIn message you? Do they want to email? Which email? Personal or work one?
Yeah.
Like, how do they want to communicate? How can I get time on your calendar? Are you a person that is annoyed and done with all the Zooms and you'd like to be in person? Do we happen to be in the same location? Can I come meet you for coffee? Yes, you might have to travel a little further. Figure out what's easier for them. Meet them halfway. See if that's valuable and work through those pieces with them. Clarity. I mean, I know we just did all that. Just be clear. That's very helpful. It's very helpful. And if they ask something, if it's like, hey, next time, let's talk about XYZ. I think we're at this stage that we need to start talking about this. If you're uncomfortable with that, communicate that. But don't just hear it as if it's homework and decide to not do it. I've had some people do that. And then, to be honest, the relationship kind of wanes because it's this odd situation of I'm not your parent, your teacher, your boss, but you did come to me asking for advice and there's a weird power play here. And then they're aware they didn't do a thing. So then they feel uncomfortable and then, I'm so sorry I didn't. It's like, well, it's not, oh, it's okay. It's not really okay. Like we need to do this, but I don't want to be a jerk and be like, it's not okay. But the feelings just get a little murky there. And anything we can do to stay away from that feeling is good. So be prepared and say, if you couldn't do it, like I was swamped, but I put time on my calendar this week, as opposed to just assuming it'll happen. By our next call, it will be done. Today, could we focus on this? That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. I actually have someone I mentor right now who does that.
That's great. Yeah, it sums up in this phrase that I've heard a lot. To be easy to root for. Like the more that you can kind of meet someone halfway, and like you said, like, yes, I didn't do this thing that we were supposed to do, but instead of making excuses or complaining, I figured out a solution that at least remedies a bit of that, and then I'll focus on it for next time. Like I'm giving that person more time, energy, effort than someone who does not do that. Like, I want you to succeed because I know you have a semblance of accountability. You know, you're cognizant of my time, the effort that I'm putting in. Like, I'm investing in you rather than, yeah.
You tapped on that perfectly. The respect of time. That's important.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Lori, I know we're running out of time here. Thank you so much for hopping on and chatting through some of the stuff that you do as a mentor, some of the stuff that mentees out there should probably be doing to get the most out of their relationship. I did want to ask sort of like one wrap-up question. If there was one thing that you wanted somebody listening to this episode to take away from it, either as a mentor or mentee, what would that like big sort of golden kernel be for someone to take away?
I'll give one for each. So mentors, respect the responsibility you have. People are really looking to you for that advice. If you want to be the harder kind of mentor, give people a direct path to success so they truly can achieve it, and celebrate them when they get there. If you want to be more cheerleadery like me and guiding that way, that's also fine too. Every style is different, but the goal of this is to use your position of power to truly help someone succeed. So, if someone starts failing, please don't start writing LinkedIn posts and Twitter posts about it, because they're going to see it.
Yeah.
And we don't need that in the long run, right? That's going to hurt someone. Even if you don't tag them, like they know who this person is. Yeah. Don't do that. And then if you are a mentee, keep shopping for the right ones. There's different stages of your life, of your career, that are going to be useful for different people. You may find one mentor to guide you through 6 months of life is absolutely wonderful. And the next year, there's 2 to 3 that blended make a lot of sense for you. Never fear telling the mentor, hey, this has been really good. I'm feeling kind of set. Can we go back to once a month? Right? I don't need to talk to you every week. This is not a very hyper formal. And if the person gets really upset and gets worried about that, kind of wonder what they're doing with you as a mentor. Like, what is that actual value? We're all very busy. That's why we just talked about, like, maybe you couldn't get a deliverable done or something on time. We all get it. But being very clear on, in that time, get what you need to get, give as best you can to your mentor that you can find. And don't be afraid to say, this has served me well. Thank you. I'm going to pull back a little bit.
It's wise advice. I like that. Awesome. Well, hey, Lori, thanks again for being here. I do want to give people the opportunity to, if they want to learn more about you, maybe connect with you, continue the conversation, how can they find you?
LinkedIn. I'm Lightning Bolt Lori Dunn, or the URL, the end is the Lori Dunn.
Ooh, the one and only.
Someone took Lori Dunn, so I'm the Lori Dunn on LinkedIn and Twitter. Woohoo! Super fancy.
It's a good opportunity to brand yourself a little bit. It's like, there's another Lori Dunn out there. No chance. I'm the Lori Dunn.
Now, see what I do in the next 10 years with my career, and then the will make a lot more sense.
Love it. Well, thanks again for being here. Thank you, listener, for listening. Remember to subscribe, to unsubscribe, get more tips and tricks in your inbox, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for watching this episode of Unsubscribe, the Demand Drive podcast. If you want less of those nasty unsubscribe emails in your inbox, go ahead and check out some of the content we have to the left, and make sure that you subscribe to Unsubscribe to keep your SDR team in tip-top shape.